Hey everyone, it's Sarah here, back with another writing video. It's been a while, I am very sorry about that, but I'm back. Today we're going to talk about a topic that comes up a lot when people are discussing publishing, but in particular self-publishing, and that is whether or not to use a pen name. So I am going to discuss today what I consider personally the sort of top three general reasons for why someone should definitely consider using a pen name when they decide to publish, particularly self-publish, but you can traditionally publish well. We'll discuss that later. First, let's talk about what a pen name actually is. I'm sure most people understand in general what it is, but we're just going to say it anyway. So a pen name, pseudonym, nom de plume, whatever you want to call it, there are lots of different ways to refer to it, but is basically just a fake name that someone, usually a writer, will use when they're being credited for their work. Usually it's a fiction writer, sometimes you'll see it in movie credits, but that's basically it, a fake name to replace the real name to be credited by. Okay, so here's some famous examples. I'm sure most of you have probably heard of some, if not all of these, or most of them anyway, but maybe you didn't know that some of them were pen names. I know I didn't for a couple of them anyway. But who were these famous writers? There's your answer. So I understand for some people it might seem counterintuitive for such famous people, such famous writers, to be using a pen name, especially when we have the answers, we know who these pen names belong to. But the reasons why a very famous writer will use a pen name is very different to why an indie author might want to use a pen name. So we're just sort of going to ignore that for now. And we're going to focus on why an indie writer might want to use one. So firstly, the biggest benefit, in my opinion, is anonymity. It's always a bit of a conundrum as a writer. You want your writing to get out there, you want people to read it, you want people to like it, and you want them to read more. But you don't really necessarily want them searching you up on Facebook or social media, your personal social media, because they have your real name. If you publish under your real name, they can likely find you on the internet, and a lot of people are very uncomfortable with that, or there might be other personal reasons why they don't want their real name to be used out in public. But you want people to read your writing, don't you? It's difficult. But you can just use a pen name. But Sarah, how do I query or publish or whatever with a pen name if I don't use my real name? Well, I won't go into too much detail here, but you can also obviously traditionally publish with a pen name. It's pretty easy. Basically, when you query agents, the traditional route, if you query agents, on the query letter that you write, basically where you put your personal details, your address, your mailing address and stuff, you just, you put your name and then writing as John Smithington or whatever your pen name is. And there's a way to format it within your manuscript as well. But it's as simple as that. You use your real name to communicate, but when the book becomes published, it will have your pen name. And no one who reads the book will be able to associate you with that pen name. As for self-publishing though, obviously the only place you will need to use your real name, your legal name, will be on the accounts that you set up with the print on demand or whatever the distribution platform that you choose to use, whether it's Draft2Digital or KDP or any one of those. When you set up your account, you obviously need to use your real name and tax information and whatnot, but it is so easy to use a pen name. Once you have your manuscript and you upload your manuscript and you're putting in all your details, there'll be an author name field. All you have to do is type in your pen name and that's it. It's really that easy when you are self-publishing. So it's really easy to stay anonymous when you are self-publishing. But there are other good reasons to use a pen name as well. So the biggest of which, in my opinion, is branding. Yes, even authors have to have a brand. For example, if your name was Roger Partridge and you first published books that were gritty crime thrillers, lots of sex, lots of violence, that sort of thing, and you saw some decent success, you got a decent fan base going of people who want to read these gritty crime thrillers. But what if a couple of years down the track you decide you want to spread out into a different genre? You want to give maybe, I don't know, romance a go. The problem with that is, if you wanted to use the same name, is that the readers of your gritty crime fiction aren't necessarily going to like your romance books. It's the wrong audience. It's the wrong brand. So you make a pen name. You can use a pen name for your crime thrillers and keep that audience happy. And if you want to branch out into a different genre without much overlap in audience, you can use another pen name. And it's as simple as that. Some genres will have enough overlap that you don't necessarily need to create a new pen name. So, for example, if you wrote gritty crime thrillers and then you also wanted to try writing horror novels or something, there's enough sort of overlap in those genres and the people who read them that you could probably use the same name, but not so if you wrote splatter horror novels, slasher killer novels, and sweet romances. There's not going to be nearly as much overlap in those genres. So you want to use pen names to keep your branding consistent and keep your audience happy and able to know what it is they're getting from your books. So also, another reason for using a pen name would be, what if you did use your real name, but heaven forbid, your publishing debut absolutely bombed? No one wants to think about that, but it can happen. You use your real name, you put out your book, it's an awful failure, but then your name is forever tied to this failure of a book. And people don't like that. Even if, it's not like you became some viral sensation for being so bad or something crazy like that. People don't like to have that failure tied to them forever. So you can use a pen name. If you use a pen name, even if it fails, you can just cut your losses, move on, create a new pen name, improve, and try again. But you can't get rid of your real name. Not that easily, anyway. And also, heaven forbid, you get caught up in some sort of controversy. Maybe, I don't know, some plagiarism controversy. Maybe it wasn't you, but you somehow get caught up in it. You don't want these things to be associated with your real name or to come and have an effect on your personal life. So it really is just safer. You have that extra layer of protection from these sort of risks if you use a pen name. So there you have it, just the sort of general top 3 reasons, in my opinion, why using a pen name is generally going to be a very good idea. Obviously, there's a lot more to consider than just the points I've mentioned, such as the language you write in, the legality and process of using a pen name in your particular country. I understand that it won't be the same everywhere for everyone. Whether you live with people, who you don't want to know that you write, or, maybe you don't want mail with a strange name coming to your house. You don't want people to find out about that sort of thing. There's a lot of other things to consider, but they're usually more personal, and just general advice can't really answer many of those questions for a lot of people. But I think the 3 points that I've covered will give a general idea for most people what the benefits, what the pros and cons are of using a pen name. Other than that, it's up to you to sort of consider and weigh the pros and cons yourself. But I hope that this video at least helped a little bit in understanding what the general benefits to using a pen name are as an indie writer anyway. So keep those fingers on the keyboard, everyone, and I will see you in the next video, hopefully very soon. Bye.